Thank you again for your comments. I'd like to pick up two of them. The first is from a person called Rhea, 7737, who asks, how am I aiming high for net zero? As far as I can tell, it's a dressing gown and a hot water bottle rather than a heat pump. Yeah, absolutely. Is that showing ambition and setting an example for a sustainable future for us all, like so many, more personal action and fewer lectures needed? Well, yeah, I don't really have the money for a heat pump, so I think a hot water bottle is a very good gesture, is it not? The arrogance of these questions is a little bit disturbing. But there are other points which have been made today. The using Christian mythological stories to debunk pagan mythological stories is basically how historical research has been conducted for centuries. Myths convey truths, not facts. Absolutely, absolutely. But the fact that those myths are there tells us something about culture and the efforts that culture goes to establish its credibility. As for Jerry H61 says his favourite phrase being "I'm only human." This is a reference to Matt Hancock, who I suppose hopes that we all assume that he's not, and he's trying to debunk another myth. I'm afraid humanity is about as far as we think he's got, and maybe not even that far. I'm only human. Poor man. There's one other lovely point that somebody has made, which is if I can find it now. Where are we now? About the Elgen marbles. The British Museum is in effect a display of stolen property. Well, that may well be the case, but museums across the world are full of property which has been appropriated, stolen. In the case of the Elgin marbles, I think I think the dispute is that they were not stolen. They were paid for by Elgin. The fact that he paid somebody who had been in the country for 400 years, or represented a power that had been in the country for 400 years, is a much more questionable claim. I think the right thing to do is to return the marbles to Greece, not because it is their property automatically, but because that is where they were originally intended to be seen, and they should be seen within context. And I don't think they can be seen within the context in the British Museum. However, we must acknowledge the immense role that the marbles played in kickstarting the classical revolution across Europe in the 18th century. Flaxman, right up to the great Victorian painters, the Pre-Raphaelites, and Lord Leighton. And this has defined in so many ways the look and nature of London and of our great cities. We owe so much to the Elgin marbles. It is part of our cultural history, and I think it's only right that we dedicate time and effort to showcasing them where they belong, and that is in Athens. And I think we should acknowledge Kyriakos Mitsotakis's muting of the Greek claim that these are stolen and that they need to be returned and that they will never leave Greece, into a reunification. Reunification is what we need, and reaching out across Europe is what we need to do now that we have accomplished Brexit. We need to show solidarity with our neighbours. This is a great way of doing so. And Sunak's approach is childish and insulting.